My overarching topic is high school, really. Truths of it. Ins and outs, if you will. Certain things the adults in the room have forgotten, and the children are either blind to or too busy whining about anime to really mull over. Specifically, I'm referring to the way a line can be drawn between normal and weird kids, for lack of more appropriate nomenclature. I believe that the social group you fall into as a teenager and then as an adult is determined by how well adjusted you are. That is, how social you were as a small child. So that smelly kid in your second grade class is, of course, going to grow up to be, ooh, that guy. Note, please, that there was always at least one that smelly kid in your second grade class, and if there wasn't, he was probably you. But normal and weird are both easily quantified. Normal kids have their girlfriends, go to parties, do drugs on the weekends, get into fights over football teams. They get jobs at grocery stores and hate their parents. Occasionally end up on the news for punching out a homeless guy. Then there's the weird kids. Don't worry, I'm not about to launch into some freedom rider bullshit. They're the weird kids for a reason. They've got problems. They smell like old pants, or they can't form a remotely interesting conversation to save their lives, or they're obsessed with anime, and for whatever reason, the normal kids won't have them. So the high school community separates neatly into two halves. Well, not quite. There's a third group, the in-betweeners. That, I think, is where I'd put myself. Think about it, I don't fit into either of the other groups. My friends are numerous, and all tolerable people. The ones I'd voluntarily spend time with, anyway. But I could never leave the life of a normal kid. You can't be normal when you're semi-depressed, have a reputation somewhere between Ferris Bueller and possibly gay, and have the highest grades of anyone you know. When I go home after school, I stay home. I'm an introvert and a hermit, but not because I'm disliked, I just can't relate. And despite what predictions you may have, I do not consider myself alone in my group of middlemen. They're scarce, true, but I've met more than one. We're always very intelligent, you know, us in-betweeners. Everyone I've ever met has been. The last of a dying breed of intellectuals, perhaps. It is intellectuality, I believe, and demeanor that separates us from the other two groups. A dichotomy of ideals moving towards the same goals, but differing in ways that render the two totally unrelatable. Love, for instance. What to you is the ultimate expression of love? Are you a romantic sort, in that companionship is your goal? Are you an in-the-moment kind of person, in that sex is what you want? Bet you are, you're a teenager after all. Have you ever woken up and been rendered immobile by comfort and warmth? That is the ideal. That, to me, is true bliss. It's soft, refined, greater than an orgasmic pleasure because it's less rough around the edges. Sex has certain crude implications that render it ever so slightly inelegant regardless of context. And the ability to share that warmth, to comfort and be comforted through company rather than contact, therein lies true love. Not that I can say I've ever experienced such a thing. I can't say I've ever loved anyone. Except... No. Slight faux pas. A friend of mine. She has a boyfriend. It's irrelevant. It's all irrelevant. In fact, you'd be safe to dismiss me as just another angst-ridden teenager. I know I would. But will you?